I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, agenda approval. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to the board agenda?
I added under 6A, just highlighted, I don't know that you'll need to be taking any action, but I put it there just in case the board does need to take any action, so that was the only change I made.
All right, we have an agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
A second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right, attendance. Steve, do you have any questions on attendance?
No.
Okay. Next is open forum. Rules for open forum. 3 minutes per speaker. Open forum shall not take more than a total of 15 minutes. No complaints about individual staff members, about students, or about other persons are permitted. All presenters will conduct their business in a manner that meets community standards for decorum. The board will not take action on items presented in an open forum. Brian, did anyone sign up for open forum?
Nope.
All right, does anyone wish to speak? All right, communications.
There was none.
Okay. All right, then we're moving on to new business. Work with MSBA on superintendent search.
We have Eric and Jordan. Amy, sorry.
Amy
Last
Jordan.
name.
Amy Jordan
Yep.
from MSBA, who I believe are going to take over the meeting.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you for coming.
yes, thanks for having us. So first of all, I again want to thank you for hiring MSBA to help you with your search. We're excited. My name is Eric Inger. I'm actually on my first search. You will be my first search with MSBA. Amy Jordan, it's kind of a 2-for-1 because Amy, as part of this process of onboarding me, will be with me along the way. So you really have two folks from MSBA working on your search, which honestly is a big plus. Amy's a huge resource, and but I look forward to leading your search. So the first thing, I just want to give you a little bit of background on myself and let Amy introduce herself. And then I'd like to go around with the board. I'd like you to just tell me how long you've been on the board, and then also if you have been a part of a previous superintendent search. So I'm a lifer in education. So I started out as a teacher, coach, and somewhere along the line, I decided I wanted to try to be a principal, so I was fortunate enough be a principal at the elementary, middle, and high school level. And then I got the wild hair that I wanted to end my career as a superintendent. So I spent my last 10 years in education as a superintendent, 9 years in Lake City, which isn't too far from Rochester if you're familiar with southern Minnesota at all, and then 1 year as an interim last year at Plainview, Elgin, Millville. So Amy replaced me in both of those locations and said, hey, now that you're retired, would you consider working for MSBA and helping us on searches? And I was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. So I'm excited to work with you guys. I want you to know your job is to hire the superintendent. I think we use the line, that's the only real employee you hire, okay? So I'm gonna share my cell number. You should have my email. You can contact me directly on anything. We want you to feel completely comfortable. So don't feel like you're bothering me. That's my job. That's what I signed up for. So through the course of this search, anything you need, questions, clarifications, don't just bug me. I want to be bugged. That's part of what I'm supposed to be doing. So feel free to contact me.
All right, so I'm Amy Jordan. I'm the Associate Director of Leadership Development and Executive Search at MSBA. So I work exclusively in superintendent search and superintendent evaluation. So I'm in my 4th year doing that, and I love it. It's the best job I've ever had. And as Eric mentioned, I worked on, I think my second or third search I ever did was in Lake City when he was retiring. So I got to work with him right away my first year, and then my third year when he was the interim, as he mentioned, I worked on that search as well. And so he's been through the process multiple times. So he knows what's happening, but I will be along throughout the entire process as well. So you'll see in your emails, I'm always going to be CC'd on them so that I know what's happening. If you're responding to Eric, make sure I'm CC'd on them just so that we're all on the same page and we're not then forwarding emails and trying to figure things out. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. One of my favorite things about working for MSBA is being able to go and travel to the different districts and seeing them and meeting and working with the school board. So thank you so much for having us. We're really appreciative of you selecting us to assist you throughout this process. But I'll turn it over to you guys to do your introductions.
You start with you, Angela.
I am Angela Grahowski. I've been on the board 9 years. This will be our second vice superintendent search.
I'm Heather Hansen. This is my 5th year on the board, and this will also be my second superintendent search.
Dave Wolf, run the board 6 years.
I'm Jamie Hendricks. I'm new here.
Second meeting.
Second meeting.
Second meeting.
Going strong. But I also really appreciated the information that I got from the MSBA convention that I went to. So that was super helpful. So thank you guys.
I'm Janelle Sowers. I've been on the board for 2 years, and this is my first search.
I'm Leo Earlbeck. I've been on, I don't know, 28, 29 years, whatever. And this is my second search.
Thank you. All right, so most of you have been through the process before. Like I said earlier, I'm an old school teacher coach. Processes are important. And the nice part of having MSBA as part of your search or doing your search is they have a process. Now, it's going to be specific. You're going to lay out what you're doing in that. But when you look at our agenda, we're going to go through this process tonight. And as part of that process, you're setting up the whole system to actually hire your superintendent. So with the process, we hope to get good results, and I feel confident we're going to do that. A couple things I want to start with. It's very important we all realize the statutes that cover what we're doing. So when you're hiring a superintendent, just like tonight, everything is an open meeting. That gets a little interesting when we're dealing with candidates prior to hiring them, because until a person becomes a finalist, which means we're going to interview them, their names can't be out in public. If somebody asks you if so-and-so applied for the soup job, you need to understand something, that you'd be in violation of statute if you were to confirm that. So it's just something we'll repeatedly point out to you, but I think that's very important for us all to understand. The other thing is, and I said this earlier, this is your guys' job. So we want you to feel very comfortable, but you're making a big decision, and our job is to help you in that process, but ultimately you're the ones that make it. We're going to bring through this process a list of candidates to you, but you're going to have access to everybody and anybody who applies for this. Ultimately, you as a board will decide who the next superintendent is, not myself or Amy or anybody at MSBA. We give you the process, you guys make the decision. Okay? All right, so if you can open your packets or turn your packets to this first page. A couple of things about this page. It's super important because if you also look down at the bottom of our brochure that's going to go out when we open the applications, this is pretty much set in stone. So what we do tonight, it's a very important calendar. So realize that as we're picking out dates. The other thing is timing is important also. you're not the only folks looking for a superintendent. And when people apply, they may be applying in multiple districts, interviewing in multiple districts. So too much of a spread, we could potentially lose a good candidate that's in our pool. So as we work on these, we want to try to keep that timeline, as close as we can to be efficient in our process so that we don't lose any of our candidates. That's really the driver, is to maintain that candidate pool and the folks that we're bringing in to interview. We'll also talk about the time. I know earlier, just like most of the places I was in, you're traditionally meeting at 7. We appreciate, like tonight, meeting at 6. We prefer, it's gonna have to be sometime after 4 o'clock. We totally understand that if it's during the weekdays, but if we can keep it, we're open to whatever, but appreciate you guys trying to accommodate maybe just a little earlier start time with the time that Amy and I have to get here. But again, that's your guys' decision. All right, so if you look at the top, we've got our today's date, correct? All right, and then we're targeting to do the public input survey. That would be online, also available as a hard copy. Usually that's in all of your buildings. If someone comes in and requests one, and in the district office, as far as hard copies. That's gonna go online the 27th through February 8th. Posting's gonna go up on the 27th as well, but that'll run a little longer. Your posting would go to March 3rd. And then January 30th, MSBA would host a informational Q&A session on Zoom. That is recorded so that can be viewed without folks having to actually be there. That Q&A would incorporate the information from the public survey that we gathered.
Can I touch on that one?
Yes.
It won't be about what we've gathered, it's about reminding them about the survey and to take the survey. And so that we can also answer any questions that the public might have or staff. It's open and available to anybody who wants to log in and watch. You as board members don't need to log in and participate in it. We'll be going over the timeline, we'll go over the vacancy brochure, and then we'll go over the public input survey. So that's just an open one, and we know that not everybody can attend at 4 p.m. on an afternoon. That's why we record it, so that you can put that recording on the district website. So that, go ahead.
Can questions be sent in ahead of time?
Yeah.
Is that, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. And then somewhere in here, between January and February, holding meetings with your district leadership. And then now we're getting into those dates that are actually going to be on the brochure. So the board would meet for interview training and to discuss public input reports, interview questions and procedures. So you can see the dates listed. The 24th, I just want to point out, we have an asterisk on that because we would need to meet no sooner than, that would have to be an evening meeting. We couldn't meet during the day on the 24th. It is a date we could meet. It would just have to be in the evening. March 3rd is the application deadline. March 4th, and then it's got to be determined. MSBA conducts a screening, preliminary verifications of references, pre-interviews of recommended applicants. So, like I said earlier, you as a board, and we'll talk about this when we go a little further into the packet, you're gonna have access to all of the applicants for your district. However, as part of this process, MSBA also vets all of the candidates that they feel are the best match based on your leadership profile, based on your survey results, based on your district. So those are the folks that MSBA will actually completely vest, okay? Then on the 5th through, and again, these to be determineds are going to be driven by those other dates that we're setting when we come back to set dates. I'm just going through the whole thing, and then we'll come back to that first one in February. But that'll kind of, the dates that we set along the way will kind of set up some of these dates that say to be determined. Then you guys would review the applicants. Then we're down to the March one. The board meets to determine finalists, interview questions and procedures. MSBA reviews interview trainings. Then the board conducts first round interviews. Then the board conducts reference checks, holds second round interviews, and board selects lone finalists and sets negotiation process. Board designee becomes negotiations of employment contract. Board meets to approve the employment contract, and July 1, your new soup reports to work. Also, as part of the package, the new board team attends, new superintendent and the board team would attend the MSBA transition workshop. Okay? All right, so let's go back up to the top. With the February, the first date to set as the board meeting for interview training and to discuss public, that would be where the survey would be reviewed and to determine the interview questions and procedures for that first round of interviews. Are there any dates that you guys feel are better than others for you?
The day of the week is the 19th.
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah, I can help you with that. So the 19th is a Thursday, the 20th is a Friday, the 24th is a Tuesday, the 25th is a Wednesday, the 26th is a Thursday, and the 27th is a Friday.
I can make any of those days work, just a few of them it would have to be after 6, but the 19th and the 25th and the 27th, it could be any time. I mean, but
I'm open to anything.
does the 19th work for everyone? Yes.
Are you doing daytime hours on the 19th, or what did you?
What's the earliest you guys can do?
I could do, the earliest I could do is 4, would be the earliest that I could do with work, but. So
What
yeah.
are you changing?
Yeah.
I can take a day off of work if I had to, so.
How late do you usually work?
Whenever. I can make it work. I can leave and be here
Because if
by
we
4.
wanted to do 5,
I can make it work by 4. It's okay.
are you sure?
There's a lot of them gonna.
But yeah, so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of meetings, so don't take off of
yeah.
work if you
Yeah.
don't need to,
I
okay?
can flex and go on early and then
Okay.
How
make it
long,
work.
how
So
long
it's
are
fine.
these meetings? Are each about 2 hours?
That one, because you're doing questions, I mean, it shouldn't be more than 2 hours, but I would say it's probably gonna be an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
19th, I got 4. Or do we want to push it back to 5? That's up to you.
Is 5 okay with everyone? Is 5
5 is
okay
great,
with
sure.
you guys?
It
Oh, yeah,
helps you,
absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, let's do 5 then, so.
All right, February 19th at 5 p.m. Okay, so now we slide down to the board meets to determine finalists, interview questions, and procedures, MSBA reviews, interview training. So kind of our interview training. Remember, we'll close on the 3rd. So I do want to, I had a glitch in my calendar now. My wife ended up having to get some, not major surgery, but surgery on the 12th. So I need you to cross off the 12th, and hopefully we can make it work in that window that's remaining. So minus the 12th, we've got the 13th, which is a Friday, the 17th is a Tuesday, 18th is a Wednesday, 19th is a Thursday, and the 20th is a Friday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do the 12th or the 13th or the 19th.
I wouldn't be here the 19th if you need me here.
Okay, and the 19th I wouldn't be able to do either, but the 17th, 18th, or 20th, does anybody?
Is there a virtual option for any of those?
You know, I'm actually glad that you brought that up. So, I was gonna mention this when we were picking these times. So these two, usually this comes up later in the planning meeting, but those two meetings, so that first one that you just selected for the 19th, and then the one that we're working on right now, those two meetings we typically would do virtually, so we would attend those virtually. So if it's better to meet later for all of you on that 19th, we're happy to do that, because we wouldn't be driving. If you want us to attend in person, we will, but there is an extra fee for that. We'll get to that in a little bit, but just so that you know, that would potentially be a virtual option. So.
I'm gonna be the bummer in that section, just because, we have a family vacation that we planned, and it was long before I even made it on. So I'm out of town 17th through the 30th, but can join for virtual options if that is an option.
Yeah, we can do it, right?
Yeah.
Have board
Yep.
members do
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for some of the virtual meetings, do we know anything in Toby's schedule when he may or may not be available? Like if we did push it back a little bit because it would be virtual?
To do it at like
Is
7
he-
for that first, is he usually a later evening?
Well,
He's all, I know.
His
That's
schedule varies, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, even if you want to go back to the 19th, if you're going to go the virtual route, we could certainly try for Jamie, you don't need to worry about work. We're not traveling, it's virtual. If you wanted to bump that to 6 or 7, that's fine too.
It doesn't matter. So whatever works best for you. If you're fine with 5, we
I'm
can
fine
go
with
to 6
5,
or-
absolutely.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
so we're good on the 19th and then 19th of February. Does anybody have a?
February's at 5, okay, but
Yeah,
March.
February.
Oh, I thought we did February 19th, I thought we were looking at.
We
March.
did, I just
talking
was
about-
bringing
was
up the
going
time
back to
again
Oh, yeah,
because of the virtual.
yep.
Yeah. So does anybody have a preference on the March 18th, 17th, 18th, or 20th? A Tuesday, Wednesday, we won't do Friday,
Well,
so
I
a
won't be
Tuesday
here
or,
the 18th either, if I'm needed at the meeting.
17th.
So the 17th work?
it's St. Patrick's Day, does anybody? So if I
It is St.
can,
Patty's Day, it's March Madness.
Marguerite,
okay, so this is March 17th,
St. Patty's Day, it is.
I think the 17th.
Is that what, a Tuesday?
That's a
That's
Tuesday.
That is a
It's
Tuesday. And what about a time?
yeah, what time?
17th.
17th,
Or 6:30,
how about
or
6:30
after.
or 7?
and this is virtual, so you would be okay if we did it at 7?
Totally. Yep.
17th.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yep, 7 o'clock.
March 17th, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, very important dates. You're going to set the date or dates for your first round of interviews. If you kind of look at the dates that are available, there is one Saturday in there if you choose to go that route. So that being the 28th. Otherwise, the 17th is a Tuesday, the 18th is a Wednesday, the 19th is a Thursday, 20th a Friday, and then the 23rd a Monday, 25th a Wednesday, 26th a Thursday, and the 27th a Friday. Couple of things. Oh, we do have to get 2 dates. Couple of things to keep in mind here, and that's gonna be part of the 2 days. If we go during the week, other than the Saturday, you're probably gonna have to start no earlier than probably 4 o'clock, just because of folks working and all that, so. But we are gonna need, out of this group, to pick 2 dates.
Do we have to rule out the 17th, because we already got a meeting then, right?
Good point.
Yep, we probably wanna block off the 17th, 18th, and 19th, just because you wanna give it a few days, cause you'll pick candidates on the 17th, and then you'll wanna give them a couple days once we call them, so that they can gather themselves before they interview.
Yeah.
So typically you wanna do 2 evenings or 1 full day on like a Saturday. So that's why he's saying pick 2 dates, because if you're doing evenings, it's gonna depend on how many people you interview. We typically hold spots for 6, so if you're doing 6 interviews in the evening, it gets to be a very long night, and so that's why we recommend spreading it over 2 nights. At least holding the dates for now, and then if you decide you're only gonna interview 3 or 4 and you wanna do them all in one night, we can. But
That's the last week of my vacation, so
So-
I'm gone.
Yeah, so the 23rd through the 27th is spring break, and we will be gone as well.
Oh.
So
So we told
could
her.
we do that? I don't know if it would work, the April dates there for both of those. Do you know what I'm saying? Yep, April.
Does that push out too far?
No, but I'm saying if we took the ones from right below,
Oh, I see. You're saying,
because you have April 1st, 2nd,
Yeah.
3rd, 6th, and 7th, could we take 2 of like April 1st and 2nd?
Are you,
Because she's gonna be gone and I'm gonna be gone.
yeah, not available on the 28th, like the last day, that Saturday?
No.
I get back on the 30th.
Is
But like I
Easter
could do the
April
31st if that's.
Easter is
Or virtual.
April 5th, yes, yep. Okay, so
I don't know if that's
Is-
ever,
Is there
Online.
jeopardy of losing candidates if they pick March 17th and wait till?
So I would
April.
recommend pushing your selection date back, because you're gonna select names that date and then they're gonna go public. And so that's a very long time, especially if they're sitting superintendents, for their names to go public and for their district to be in limbo, waiting for interviews. So if we're gonna push interview dates way back, you're gonna wanna push selection date back. So not meeting right away on the 17th, you'll probably wanna push it back even further. Although I know with people being gone, if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do.
does that one have to be in person for the first round of interviews?
Those can be virtual.
Or is that?
Interviews?
virtual?
Yeah.
No one was virtual when I interviewed.
One was.
Just think he wasn't here.
are you asking if a board member could be virtual?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
Interviews.
again, just think of it as a regular meeting, because it's the open meeting law that applies, so yes. Same rules pretty much apply to, the interviews, because in essence, it's an open public meeting, so yes, a board member could,
Could be
if needed,
virtual.
could be virtual.
During interviews.
It's just that it's harder to hear.
We go to April 6th and 7th would work good for me for right after Easter.
And I will not be available the 7th through the 12th.
Are we talking 7 o'clock in the evening?
We're gonna have to do virtual then, probably.
But are you talking about for the first round of interview?
Cause if we get pushed out to that second week in April, that's.
Could we get it all, who's everybody, you're not, but the 30th through the 3rd? That could be
30th
done.
of
March.
March.
So you could potentially do round 1 interviews March 30th and 31st, and then hold your second round on you could do the 3rd, but that's also that's the Friday right before Easter, so I don't know if people would be traveling, if that would be a good time or not. You could do like the 30th, the 31st, and the 2nd, if those dates were available. Oh yeah, yeah, they were on here.
Yeah.
So you could do first round on the 30th and 31st,
Okay,
second round on the 2nd even. It's a quick turnaround time. I've done that in multiple searches where they've held second round 2 days after first round. It's tight, it's hard, but it can be done, and I've done it multiple times. So if that's what works best for you guys, certainly do that.
So it could be the 30th, the 31st, and the 6th? No, the 6th.
Sec-
Because you leave the
Second?
7th, you said?
Yeah, the 7th through the,
So if we did the 30th, the 31st, and the 6th,
6th is the MHS banquets. I didn't know if anybody was planning on going to that.
Usually at 6.
Did you say the 3rd, 2nd?
You could do the 2nd,
Okay.
the 30th, the 31st for round 1, and the 2nd for round 2.
Okay. So then would we need to push back that March 17th date then of when we, because that would be about 2 weeks?
You don't have to if that's the date that works best for everyone. Again, I mean, that's still 2-3 weeks that it's sitting out there, but if that's what works for everybody, go with it. I mean, the dates will all be posted. Anybody who applies for it, they'll know. So if that's what works the best, do that.
It sounds like you guys have, so you have a spring break with school? That we,
Yeah, the week of
okay.
the 23rd.
So let's try to do this, maybe let's try to get these two set, and then we can go backwards and just make sense, because we might end up wanting to even adjust when we post this, I'm thinking, possibly,
And just have it open longer.
yeah.
I mean, we could potentially have it open longer if we change the, well, not really though. So are you guys all set with the 30th, the 31st, and the 2nd, you think, for round 1 and round 2?
Of March, does that work for everybody?
You're
You're
do
back?
virtual on the 30th, or that's the only day that I'm not back. So if I can do virtual on the 30th, I will be back for the 31st.
Are you okay doing virtual for the interviews?
I'm
that
fine with
one
it, everyone
day.
else is.
Does anybody else have conflicts with the 30th and 31st?
In the time, 7.
depends on when they schedule interviews.
We should probably do earlier if we have multiple interviews, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, typically you wanna hold them after contract hours so that any staff that want to attend are able to.
Yeah.
You don't have to, that's not always how it is. Some districts start them at 10 a.m. I think it's really common to have interviews start at 4.
Okay.
And then they're about an hour interview to start. There's a little break between each one.
Then I can't do Friday.
Okay, but,
If we're starting it early, I can't do Friday.
okay.
Second
So
So the
Thursday.
30th and 31st are
Monday,
Monday and
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
And the 2nd is a Thursday.
It'll be a very busy week for you guys.
Since she's gonna be virtual on the 30th, could we try and schedule most of them on the 31st?
Yeah, I mean, we can start it on the 30th. Once you know how many people you interview, when you have that selection meeting on the 17th,
Yeah.
you'll know how many people you're gonna interview. So if you have 4, you could do 1 that first night and 3 the second night, if that's what works better for you guys.
Okay.
So yeah, you would just still wanna start it because it'll be posted. Although you'd have enough time that, like, if you're only interviewing 3 or 4 people, you could push it all back and just do it all on the 31st.
On the 31st.
Yeah.
Okay, so we might
And
not
we
even
don't
need
know
that day.
Toby's schedule yet either. He might have to be virtual too.
Okay, so first round interviews, we're looking at the 30th and the 31st, correct?
Yes.
Starting at 4 p.m.
Starting at 4 p.m. And then second round on Tuesday, the 2nd of April,
There's
Thursday.
Thursday,
Yep.
the 2nd, again at 4 p.m.
That works for me.
Okay,
Do you prefer later?
so right now, we talked about this earlier, about the closing. And I think we have a closing on, is it the 3rd?
Yeah, March 3rd.
Okay, so
It's 2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks. We're not, the 17th, yeah, we're not meeting until,
And it's about another 2 weeks.
it's too pretty spread.
I mean, that's okay.
Should we
Jamie, when did
leave it open a little longer till the 13th? Or-
No,
on the
we're meeting on the
17th.
17th, and they need to we need
Oh,
presentation
yeah.
forms and vetting, so I think we
Make
would
it
still
in
want
time
to
on
keep
the
it till the
30th.
3rd.
Okay.
I'm gonna look and see.
Maybe
if
I
I
can,
No, that's,
Did
I was just
Ken's work for
wondering if we
deadline?
can move that first, the March 17th
I'm
meeting.
gonna pull open our calendar here, so we said.
Deadline on applying?
Yes,
What?
that'd be a week in
I think the
between.
31st is the priority,
March.
Yeah. And use the 30
if we have to.
Yeah.
So,
What is,
I send
here. Are you gonna be able to zoom in for the app review meeting when you're not available this week in March?
we're gonna see each other a lot.
You can still zoom in for your app review meeting?
well, maybe I'm in Mexico, but we'll get it open
I'll check and see if
internet.
like,
Okay.
I'm able to make it back. I
Okay.
just don't. For sure, yeah.
Cause then, yeah, we could, maybe we wanna close it on the 9th, cause then the app review is on the 11th. Wait, that's only 6 days, that's not enough time. But we could push it back to the 8th, then it's open another 5 days. This March 10th, what is there, no meetings that day? Do you have the,
Oh,
In the
Township
special-
elections, is that township elections that day?
it could be, that could be what it is. March 10th.
I bet you it is, township elections.
Township elections.
Sure is, okay. But we can do our app review meeting still, so that would be fine. So we can keep it open an extra, over another weekend, which is, that's always a good thing.
So it would be, what are the dates that it would be open?
So the posting would be January 27th, and we would push back the closing till the 8th.
Okay.
You guys would then gain access to review all of the application materials beginning the 10th, because it's 2 days after, and then you'd be selecting on the 17th. So you'd have 1 week to review all of the application materials. If you feel like you'd rather have more time in there, we can leave it closing on the 3rd. No? You think 1 week is enough? Okay. Are we good with that?
Yep.
Perfect.
All right, so as long as we're up there, so we're gonna have it open through the 27th through the 8th. Next dates, again, we've got the February 19th, that's at 5 p.m. Then we have March 17th, St. Patty's Day, 7 p.m. Okay, and then we are going with first round interviews on March 30th and 31st at 4 p.m. And final interviews on April 2nd at 4 p.m. And you don't have to worry on your notes, so part of what we'll do, this will be in your brochure. So I'll be sending a copy for you guys to take a look at, making sure that Amy and I didn't make any mistakes or, you know, that date. So it's all gonna be in there for you. So you can have your notes, but realize you're gonna get a copy of it as well. All right, then the last date that we need to determine, so we're gonna have our April 2nd is our final interviews. That evening, you're gonna pick your #1 candidate, and then board designee is going to, do we have to set this date that's in
I'll
now?
just put it in automatically the day after.
Okay,
So we just need to know to approve the employment contract.
okay. So that's one of the hardest parts that we just got done with, so the calendar as always, right? It drives us all.
Do you guys know when your regular meeting is set for April? The date of that?
13th.
So do you want us to just put that as when you would approve the employment contract? So it gives you about 10 days to do negotiations with which is usually you can have it done within a few days, like usually within a week. So if you wanna do a quick meeting to approve it, you can, but you wouldn't need to, you could just bring it to that next regular meeting.
As long
Okay.
as that doesn't seem too long for them to wait.
Well, they'll know. It's,
They'll
It's
know.
good at that point, they won't care.
Yeah.
Okay, you said that was what date, the 13th?
April 13th.
Thank you, and what time is that, 7?
7, it may be in Finlayson though. Trying to think,
In-
February's
even-
yeah, it'll be
even.
it'll be in Finlayson.
Okay, we don't come to that, it's just
Okay.
your meeting.
Okay.
It'll just be an agenda item.
Okay.
But it's your regular meeting, I'm gonna
Yep.
correct our calendar in here so that it's all updated.
all right. Dates are set, and like I said, you'll get a copy. All of this, and I don't know, Brian, what your plans are. You know, I would encourage you to put everything out there on your website. You should have a tab folks can go to, new superintendent search. You know, and we did already catch, got a little typo on the top on Finlayson, already caught that. But when you get it, you can double check dates and everything and times, and we should be good to go on that. All right, so if we can look at the vacancy brochure, this is a draft. I'm not going to read it. You can see, again, we just finished out in the bottom right-hand corner, we took care of the timeline. I don't know if Amy just put these all together, if someone helped in terms of,
I wish I was that good. No. Your district staff helped pull all of that information, or
Okay.
Brian did it. There we go. Is there anything that's missing in those points of pride that you want added, or anything about the community that you think is missing that we should shift or change if you
What I
proofread
did is
those two
just-
things?
I just copied what the district did last time they did a this is exactly what you did last time.
In the left column, in that last sentence before the by the numbers, the operate that,
Oh,
it doesn't, yeah.
it should say the district.
And then do we leave that as is for now, because we don't,
That's what it is as of now,
Okay.
yeah.
Everything else looked okay in that?
and you updated, Brian, from, unless it had changed significantly, but as far as by the numbers?
Yeah, I updated all
Okay.
the by the numbers, what's currently, and where you had the fund balance, the district financial highlights I updated, but otherwise, this is what the board had last time you went through a superintendent search.
For the points of pride and the about the community?
Yeah, the only points, first one, because we just recently opened a daycare, so I added that, but otherwise, it's pretty much what you guys did last time.
Same with the area,
Yep,
you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you guys are aware of something or you see, you think, why isn't that? This is your brochure, so I think everything on there is excellent, but you can take something off, add something.
What about with you overseeing community ed?
well, that was gonna be a question I was gonna bring up, so I currently oversee community education, so I don't know if the board wants to continue to do that, doesn't want, but I wonder if the board wants to continue the superintendent overseeing community education, if that should be part of the posting.
Because that's a very specific licensure.
I don't have to have a special,
Oh, you
the
don't.
superintendent in a small district can oversee it without any additional licensure,
What's the size of,
6,000 or less.
okay. I think that's what drives it, not so much our licensure.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, since we're under, it's either 5,000 or 6,000, I can oversee it without any additional licensure.
Well, if the board has the expectation of the candidates being both your superintendent and community ed director, I definitely think you should be putting that in your posting, because that's unique, and I wouldn't want to start as your superintendent and have somebody come in and tell me you're community ed too. It doesn't-
Guess what?
Yeah, so, yeah, we would want to definitely put that in the posting.
I kind of think they should be separate, but just
The
be clear.
challenge is that we're gonna be able to hire for it.
Yeah. but I-
Currently, there would be 2 other people in the district, 3 other people in the district who hold that license, a superintendent license.
Well, so it doesn't have to be the superintendent, it can be anybody that holds a superintendent license.
Correct.
Got it.
what if it's like a brand new superintendent and they're just learning a new role and we ask them to do that role? That's just where my mind is going.
Do you know if there's any interest from the other people who?
I haven't asked. I've talked with a couple of them about it, but I said, let's get through this meeting and see what the board wants to do, before I went and talked to those people seriously about it. And we could certainly post and see, but my personal fear is if we only have the person as .2, who it wants to do a .2 position. Maybe there's someone else, but, so the district could certainly post and see what happens too.
I think we should leave it on superintendent. We always could change it later.
I'm sorry, Leo?
Well, I think the superintendent should be listed as community ed director. We can always change it later.
But
If
are
we
we gonna
have somebody-
scare off?
What's
Are
that?
we gonna scare off potential applicants if they see that that's my fear. Is that a legitimate?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And you
Would
might
that
attract
attract
someone.
anybody?
Correct. I mean, but yeah. I think you should go with what you think your planning would be for next year. You know, if you're planning on trying to open it up and do a .2, again, I agree with Brian, it might be challenging to fill, but we're gonna go that route. You maybe could leave it off, but if you're 100% sure you're going to continue to want a soup/community ed director, I'd post it that way.
How much time is spent on those duties?
So far, it's very, very minimal, but it's been 3 weeks.
The others that you mentioned it to, what was that feedback?
There's interest, at least there's interest. I don't know how serious, but one of them has a bigger role already in community ed. But are they gonna be out looking, you know, do they wanna stay in their current, I don't know what their own personal plans are.
Is that a decision we can make this meeting? Or does that?
I would think that
Board
if you
meeting?
want it to stay with your next superintendent, it should be, I would agree, it should be posted that way.
Right.
Do most, when they have a community ed director, do most people have, because we have a community ed person who does a lot of the footwork. Is that common, that they have a community ed director and a community ed worker? Coordinator?
Not in the
Yeah.
districts I've been in.
Truthfully, our
Pretty-
director does 90% of the work, I mean, if
The
not
coordinator.
more,
The
the
coordinator.
coordinator. So,
Are they just not licensed?
correct. Correct. And that's what this district has done, at least since probably for a very long time, but for sure in the last 15 years. The person who had the license just retired in December, so that's why the change.
Sure.
And what I said at that time is I'd just take it for the rest of this year, and see what happens.
But if that's not the intended role for the superintendent, I would not post it that way. But if that is what your intention is to keep it that way, then we should have it listed in the brochure.
Personally, I would like to see there be somebody else that is overseeing community ed. No offense, Brian, but I think you need somebody that's going to take that under their wing, even if it is .2. I think we need to see what's out there. Just
And also when the new superintendent comes, then it can also be part of their determination as the CEO of the district, right, to decide what that might look like.
And at least they're a piece of helping you in that process, as Amy's suggesting. You've got it covered, right, with Brian till July 1, and you can see what shakes out between now and then. But even worst case scenario, Brian's leaving and we've got the community ed thing, well, now that's a discussion you're gonna have with your new superintendent, and something else may come to the table, or they say, yeah, well, we'll continue to do it the way Brian did it. I think you're better off that way too than to post the superintendent / community ed, especially if you've got somebody in-house that's doing 80–90% of the work. You're really not looking for a you're looking for a community ed director, you're looking for a superintendent, and you kind of, the license is really what's covering the community ed.
Well, it's fine to me, don't post it.
Is that what you're saying? So if they make that determination, we don't have to include it?
Correct.
Okay.
Give us a long time to find,
Well, then
but
I
it gives us a
can work,
while to find someone to
Yeah, I
fill that
can
in, you
work
can
on
reach
it.
out
Yep.
to other people and.
Maybe come up with a different solution.
And even if you don't, worst case scenario, in July with your new superintendent, you'll take a look at it, and maybe it's the same setup you're doing with Brian now. It's just, it isn't a big enough driver because you have that in-house person. I was under the assumption, I'm thinking Brian's doing full-time, you've got someone who's doing the bulk of the work. So I think you're better off to get a new superintendent. Even if in the end, next year, they end up doing what Brian's doing, I think you're better off doing it that way than to post superintendent, community ed director, because you're really not looking
Yeah,
for
because
that.
it's two different things.
Correct.
For the district buildings for the board members,
Mhm.
is that just once the students are in?
Mhm.
Okay,
that's what, I didn't include the church.
well, the
They
bus
include-
garage and, I
Yeah.
mean,
I just put we can change it. Just put the one where students were in.
okay.
Okay, I think in your packets, can you go find a comparable salary? One thing that's new in legislation is we do have to put in a salary range, So basically your bottom, your floor, and your ceiling. As far as benefits and all of that, we can come up with a nice little verbiage. You don't need to list full family, that it really applies to the salary portion of it. And that is going to have to be a piece of our brochure.
Were these just, because I know if, depending on how you answer, were these salary numbers that you pulled 25, 26 or 26, 27? So I know what number that Hinckley one is, but I'm wondering what the other districts.
I'm gonna defer to Amy because they did the work on it.
Here's the Hinckley-Finlayson one, that's the 26, 27, not the 25, 26 number. So I don't know if you were pulling the number that's in the contract for next year.
She was supposed to be pulling the 25-26 contract information. However, there is a note that Mora's is from 26-27 as well. So that's next year's
Yeah,
for
But
Mora,
that would be next year's number for Hinckley, for
for
us.
yours as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is 26-27 and Mora's was 26-27. And the rest should all be the 25-26.
If you want this year's, I can give that to you. I don't,
It's really for you
it's up
guys.
to you guys. It's about 7,000 less.
So I'd help you a little bit in this area. So in your district, with your admin team, Bonnie's here as a principal. If you have some longtime principals, they could be on the higher end of the scale as well. So when you're setting your basement, I don't think you'd want your superintendent coming in and having a principal in your district getting paid more than your superintendent. Even if they're a first-year superintendent, there should be a difference there. So maybe let's focus on the floor first. What's the bottom number that we're going to pay our new superintendent?
Where are principals at?
Oh, it's gonna take me a second to.
That's fine.
I'm curious how long these other superintendents have been here in these districts, too.
East Central and Pine City are the same as me.
Okay.
They're finishing their 4th year.
Okay.
Mora, I think he's on 5 or 6.
So they're already running this.
High school principal, you wanna know their salaries for next year?
Sure.
Next year, high school principal is 110. Elementary principal, we're negotiating this spring, so I could give you her salary this year. Her salary this year is 111,288, which does need to negotiate for the next 2 years.
Is that figure for Will River right? Because he's also superintendent at Barnum.
Yeah, that's what that note says, is that it shares a superintendent contract with Barnum, and I think that's the total.
Total of the two, okay.
Correct.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Graham gentleman's probably been there about 10 years.
He's getting close to 10, doesn't
I think so. Moose Lake, I believe, has a new one this year. Rush City's been there about 6. Ogilvy, that was his first year in Ogilvy. I don't know how many years he may have had before.
So the first two are 134.
Are any of these schools currently looking for a superintendent?
Not that I'm aware of.
Both of the folks that replaced me as superintendent came in with a contract that was very similar to what I was walking out with. And I had 9 years of experience and they had 0 years of experience. So I think Brian said somebody here on the list is brand new.
The Ogilvy, I don't know if he's brand new to superintendent, but he's brand new to Ogilvy. So I guess I don't know his history, but it's his first year there. The rest are that 3. Bram's the longest at 10 years. Maybe Bill a little bit longer at Willow, but Bram's the longest tenure down there. And at least 10 years. But Hinckley, East Central, Pine City are all completing 4. Mora, it's either 5 or 6. Rush City's probably 5 or 6 as well. And I'm not certain on Bill in Willow or Moose Lake. Moose Lake might have been a brand new suit this year.
So how low is lower?
Yeah.
Like 125, 130,
Yeah, I think those numbers are real, especially, again, remember we've got those folks that are principals, right? So we got our principals about 110. We're asking our superintendent, even if they're first year, let's say, coming in, I would say that probably that 130 would be a good floor to have in terms of, we're twice the size of, some of these, I think you said the 130 at Moss Lake might be new. We're almost double them, so I do think the 130 for the floor is a good number. Anybody?
I just didn't know if that's something that's gonna deter, if they're gonna look at the other ones and see like,
No, the next
That
number
they're
we
smaller?
said is what's gonna,
that's the one that gets them.
yeah. No, not too many are worried about the floor. We just wanna make it realistic, we don't want to, but I think 130, especially with our admin, sometimes in a district, they, Penn where I was at, had a long-time middle school principal. He was $135K a year as a middle school principal. So it's challenging, to set. But I think 130 with where we're at with our principals is a good number. So we got our floor.
I think 130 is high myself, but that's my opinion. We can always go up, but
You like the 125 better?
4 years ago,
120 or
the floor was
125.
125.
120, I wouldn't even mind.
4 years ago, your bottom number was 125.
4 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the bottom, it's not,
Right.
like you said, it's the top
You
that
got
we're
it.
gonna look at.
And most
That's
will
what- and
come
that's
in
what I-
assuming they're gonna be closer to the top.
130 to 160?
Well, let's get your bottom. Leo would like us to consider just going a little lower on the bottom.
What does that say, treasurer? I think I understand, you're wrong.
And like I said, either this number isn't, we just want to be in the ballpark. It's a little closer to your principals, but it's still, even at the 120, it's 10K higher. At 125, you're 15K higher.
Doesn't
If you feel strongly, Leo, I'm okay.
125. Is
125.
125, okay?
I
Meet
can
in the
live with
middle?
125.
Okay, we'll meet in the
All
middle.
right.
All right, so we got our basement set. Now the challenging one, that will make candidates either put their hat in the ring or not put their hat in the ring is what's your bottom line? And like Amy said, that's really all they're worried about. They're not gonna, first year folks might pay a little attention to your basement, but everybody else is looking at the ceiling. So what's our ceiling?
160.
What's a normal spread that, like,
It all depends on where that base, so the spread really doesn't matter as much as what is that top number in comparison to what everybody else is doing. Is it realistic to get somebody to come here and be your superintendent? So I don't worry about if there's a $10,000 or $1 million difference. It's just that final number. Is it realistic for what the going rate is, what the market is dictating? So.
It is common to have a pretty, I mean, a lot of them are around a 20 to 30 to $40,000 spread.
okay,
But I think most of the ones that I've seen have been around a 30.
okay.
But not all. You guys need to do what's best for you and what fits your district.
So then if we split that, 51, 55.
Well, it's important. So I think that dictates quality of candidates.
Yeah, ultimately, remember, you're still gonna negotiate. But this just, again, lays that out that, hey, here's the very top, the end with us. It doesn't mean you're paying 160. It just means don't apply if you think you're gonna want more than 160K to be our superintendent. Where you end up with is still part of the negotiation process. But yeah, to your point, I think, the more you can afford to pay, potentially the more candidates you're gonna have, perhaps better candidates with more experience. And I know that was important to you guys, so.
I think it's a slap in the face to Brian if we pay somebody, a new one, 160 when he's at one.
Well, it's a negotiation, Leo.
Yeah, but I don't even want that number out there personally.
Don't worry about Brian. I
Well-
mean, thank you, Leo, but you don't have to worry about
I think
my
it's too
feelings.
high, way too high
But like
myself.
you said earlier, when he left, the new superintendent was coming in where you were leaving.
No experience.
Yeah.
We're not in very good financial shape.
My districts were okay. I'm just trying to tell you the going rate. If you want to get a good candidate in, it's kind of like buying a new car. Does anybody really want to pay what we got to pay for a new car? Heck no. But if you want a new car, you're going to pay it.
But you also do have to be comfortable with it, because if you have the right superintendent, they'll be pushing to go towards your top. So you want to be realistic with what you can afford. So be realistic, but just know you're not likely going to come in, you're very likely not going to be at 125 during the, just so that you know. Like, you're gonna be closer to what your top is, to what your ceiling is, than you are gonna be towards the bottom. So make sure you're comfortable with whatever number you put in there, especially if you have somebody coming in with experience, which is what you guys have said that you want. So if you are uncomfortable going near 160 and paying that, you're going to want to not have that as your top. If that is a stretch for you guys.
I could be in the minority, so if the rest of you wanna go with.
I'm new here.
That's only gonna last so long.
I didn't mean to, it still counts.
Because if you get the ideal candidate, right? Are you going to be willing to pay 160 if that's what they're asking, plus the benefits? If you are, that's your top. If no matter what, you're not gonna be able to do that, don't put that.
It's a very important role, and it is going to greatly impact the entire school district, like having the right person in this job. And if you talk about investing in the right person, like this is, in my mind, without knowing all the financial background, as well as like Leo and everyone else does, I fully recognize that. But this is a very important person to our school district. And like, you get what you pay for sometimes, like.
Oh, Rush City's at 160.
Mhm.
What's about the same number of students?
Mhm.
And you guys are roughly, I mean, you're 100K next year. 150K. So really you're talking about allowing yourself that window of 10K
Oh.
For what you were already at.
for the applicants. Again, you're still gonna negotiate. Just because you put 160 doesn't mean you're gonna pay 160. But it gives you that opportunity if needed. And it also kind of helps your negotiation team, because ultimately you can go back to the brochure when you're negotiating and say, no, 165 ain't gonna work here. We already told you. So even if they were the dream candidate and the best in the world, you've set that ceiling too. But remember, you're already on the hook. You know, Bryanwood State, you really are planning 150 roughly next year. So you're just talking giving yourself a 10K window. And you haven't necessarily spent it yet. It's just, if needed, that could happen.
What are some of the ranges out there right now for districts looking for superintendents, do you know?
Oh, it really, to Brian's point, it really varies on size of district, and I think your comparables that they try to put together is probably your best information. But like I said, my experience, and then I do follow some of my colleagues, we all kind of went from being principals to superintendents together, but I'm Southern Minnesota, little bigger districts, maybe a few more kids, but for the most part, what I have seen in Southern Minnesota is they're pretty close to what the superintendent went out at, they're coming in at. So I think you're going to be pretty close to, I don't think you're going to get it done, you're going to be in that 140 to 160 ballpark. Just because of your size, and it's kind of a compliment to you, you're a good district.
kind of a supply and demand thing. You know, you don't get a lot of applicants, nobody's beating down the door. That drives the price up. You get a good one. That's my thought.
I guess I'm okay doing the 160 as our top. I mean, given where we're at, where we would have been next year. And it's not saying we're gonna pay them that, it's just gives us,
Right.
our pool might be a little bit bigger if we go up and get somebody that has some experience.
I'm comfortable with 160.
I get what you're saying now, I don't wanna spend it either, but I also wanna get
Yeah.
a good qualified candidates to apply to.
We'll go 160 and we'll have Leo negotiate the contract.
Thanks.
You were one of the negotiators for that, Leo.
All right, so excellent. I know that's, and like I said, as far as the verbiage, you do offer full health. I think we've got a line that we insert in there as far as, the benefits and.
I typed in what's in most of them, and so I'll just read it to you and let me know if you want something different or if that sounds different from what it is. It says a competitive compensation and benefits package with a starting salary range of 125 to 160 will be negotiated commensurate with experience and qualifications. Contract length is negotiable as provided in Minnesota statute. Additional benefits available may include health, life, and long-term disability insurance, 403B match, and more. Is that correct? Okay, I mean, that's kind of what's been in most of our vacancy brochures, so that's why okay. And is everybody comfortable with it being stated that way?
Okay, and now to the left side, I want to give you about, 3-4 minutes. Take a look. This is our leadership profile. I think Amy said from the last time.
No,
Oh.
this was new, developed from the survey.
From the survey that you guys took. Can you take a look and make sure everything in there is what you want in there? If there's anything that you want added?
And you can see the page after it has the results of that survey that you took, so you can see kind of where everybody came in, and why that's what's in your leadership profile.
All right, I'm looking around, I think, excellent, they're all good to me, right? You guys are happy with them?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I would just point out, you know, I know you all said previous experience is important, but we are open to applicants. We're just saying preferred, not required, correct? That way we would entertain applicants that might be first-time superintendents, correct? Okay. All right. And at the bottom there, Amy will, you know, change that date or put the dates in, but you can see my contact information. So that's my MSBA email, and then that's my cell number. So and you're free to use either of those. That goes out on the brochure as well, so. Good. Those are the hard things. You did very well. Okay, so now we're going to move into just covering a couple things as far as public input. So if you can find, should say survey, search survey. Okay. This would go on your website. You would have hard copies available. Usually we do that at you know, your buildings, district office. You don't get a lot for hard copies. If you're good, if you have someone who's kind of techie, one thing we did in the last district I was in, QR codes. Those work really slick. So you know, you can put a poster up in the whistle stop, and it's got the QR code, and you take a picture and it takes you right to the survey. You know, you want to try to make it as easy for folks to do as possible. But hard copies, you can have hard copies available if they allow you to put them in the library. I saw a beautiful, your fire, your emergency, your safety buildings, unbelievable. But anywhere in the community you feel folks that congregate that maybe aren't as tech savvy or don't prefer technology, you know, try to distribute those. You just got to get them back, obviously, to get the information. But if you want to take a look, a couple of things I would point out. You know, we want to disaggregate this to help you understand and interpret the information as well. So we do have business owner or district partner or ag. Are we okay with that verbiage? Okay, and then basically they're going to choose their top 6 areas of expertise. You can see budget and finance, business partnership, collaborative leadership, contract administration and negotiation, cultural competency, curriculum development and evaluation, educational equity, fluctuating enrollment, fundraising, grant writing, personnel management, public relations, school finance, social emotional support services, special ed, strategic planning, student testing results and achievement, technology. Still got a bunch more on the next page. Delegates authority.
So one thing to point out with this one is the next question, or the next page, that's the same survey that you guys took. So this one, when we get the results, we'll be able to compare apples to apples with what you took, with what your community and your staff and what everybody is responding to for this question. And so it'll give us a really good look to see if you guys are in alignment with them, or if there's an area that we need to look for to add to, like, interview questions, or something else to keep in mind when you're selecting candidates. So we'll do a survey, like a summary of this for you that Eric will present at the meeting when you do the interview training. And then that'll help us kind of determine what your next steps are going to be, whether you involve additional stakeholders in the interview process or not. All of those decisions will be made down the road. But this will give us that good comparison between what you guys have already selected and what other people are looking for.
I have a quick question on that.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
How often do boards pull in other stakeholders into the interviews? And if so, who is the common people that they pull in? Just for my mental planning.
That's a
Well,
great
then
question.
we're gonna, that's part of our
The next one,
job
I'm
yet
just jumping
tonight.
ahead.
But
That's
I would
okay.
just, I would just tell you, not too often. A couple of things, and you know your community far better than I do, but sometimes the selection of that, who ends up doing that. Also, as I talked about at the beginning, we're going to be dealing with some data privacy issues that the bigger the pool gets for us of people dealing with it, the bigger risk we have of. So most districts go the route of doing the survey, things that are safe and still acknowledging, you know, also like Amy said that we've got the question and answer piece. We do as much as we can to try to involve them in the process, but really limiting our liabilities on it as well.
Thank you.
And a good point, so you've got those 6 areas on the first page. If you look at what's in bold, we want to know what, out of those choices, what do our community, everybody who does the survey, just like you guys did, what's their biggest concern? Out of all of those, they're going to pick their top 6, and we can compare that to yours. And then on the next page, these are important traits or skills, and then they're going to pick their top 6. I'm not going to read each of those, too many. Amy's pretty good at it, but I just don't have the speed. And then the next page, it'll be interesting to see how this aligns with you guys. How important is that previous experience to our patrons? Is it as important as it was to you guys? And then top 6 personal characteristics. And these questions now, you guys can feel free to change them. These are just put in there as a starting point. We think they're good, but if you want something different, but what are some good things taking place in Hinckley-Finlay schools today? What challenges do you see ahead for the district over the next 5 years? What does the new superintendent need to know about a history of our school district and community to be successful? And then the reason it says limit, that'll be a character box. They won't be able to write a huge essay about something if they want to go into detail. It just stops. So then they'll have to adjust. I think it's 200, 500 characters, whatever it is. But they could add something that wasn't asked of them. The nice part of this, and why I like a lot of the questions, remember this is going to also get shared, the results, and more than likely be put on your website. So candidates can look too and see, oh, that's interesting. They see this enrollment as a challenge. Probably everybody has enrollment as a challenge for the next 5 years, but it's just very good information. So. And as Amy said, ultimately, we're going to do a comparison, and I don't know how, as far as the admin team, but we can disaggregate them if they identify themselves, right? Same with our staff and our teachers. So we can see where we align with patrons as a board. We can also take a look at, you know, where's the staff at on those. And really, it's interesting to see with those skills and also those characteristics. So, any questions that you guys want changed or tweaked or? We're good?
I'm good.
I told you the hard part was early. All right, we're all good there. So with MSBA right now, we're going to be doing that Q&A that's virtual. We're going to have the community and staff survey. We will put all that together, bring that information forward. We'll also be a part of all the interviews, the first round and the second round interviews, okay? Jamie had talked about this a little bit earlier, as far as focus groups. Remember, anything that we're doing outside of that you would want us to be a part of, does have an additional cost. And that's, I think, part of why some districts have moved away from other things, is not just the liability, but also how much time and effort can other folks put into trying to hire your superintendent. If you do something, are people going to show up? A lot of it gets driven, and you probably know that. Do you have a large contingency that comes to your board meetings? I mean, they entrust you, it's your job, kind of, bottom line. So do you get the bang for your buck too, for what you're trying to do? So do we see ourselves doing any sort of focus groups outside of the survey? And then in districts meetings, what do you see in terms of in districts meeting? And by that I mean like with your admin.
No, that's for the 2 meetings that I mentioned earlier that are potentially done virtually. If you want us to come in person, the extra fee for that is $300 per meeting. But if you're comfortable with us doing those virtually, we'll just do those virtually.
I think that's what I was gonna ask. So
Yeah.
it's not that you don't want to listen to the community and hear their feedback, but you're having the Q&A that anybody can be part of already.
Right,
Correct.
oh, yes.
So there's already
Yes,
kind of sort of a listening session already scheduled in this.
correct.
So the community can.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we're kind of talking about 2 things, so let me just clarify, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. So for community and staff input, like we do the survey, everybody then has 24/7 access to the online survey, and they can take it at their convenience. If they don't want to take it online, because not everybody wants to do that, there's hard copies available in the office that they can take out, then somebody just has to scan them back, send it back to the office, and we'll get them included with the online responses. We do the Q&A session so that anybody from the community that is interested in and wants to know what's happening, they'll have the same information across the district. We do these search preview meetings, which typically we do a Zoom session with like district leadership. So the admin team, potentially the heads of the bargaining units, so that we can talk to them, share what's going on with the search so that everybody has access to the same information throughout the process. And then during that, we share the timeline, we share the vacancy brochure, we talk about the survey, and we ask for their help in helping us get the word out about taking the survey. Because it's so important that you guys hear from as many people as possible. And so what Eric was talking about for those extra focus groups and those listening sessions, if you want us to do those, we are happy to do them, to come back in district and do those for you. We just want to make sure that it's a good use of your money, right? Because if you hold an open listening session, a lot of times you'll say it's going to be 7 p.m. in the auditorium, and you have 3 people show up, and there's an extra cost to do those. And so, yes, and so you want to hear from, right. And part of the search process, we do give you the option to have additional input during the round 2 interviews, but that you'll decide at the next meeting when you get the responses from the surveys. So then you can kind of, all right, we're at step 1, we've heard from the community, we've heard from the staff, now where do we want to go from that? Do we want more involvement in the interview process, or do we not? And what level of involvement do we want in the interview process? And so at that meeting, we'll bring you like a few different options for you to consider, and we'll talk about recommendations as well. We'll talk about the benefits of those options and what those potential pitfalls might be of those options. And so like Eric said, we are here to assist you with the search, to provide you with options, to make recommendations, but ultimately it's your decision how you want it to go. So the interview process, so we were talked about like the input forums and the interview committees, that's an interview thing, and those decisions you'll make down the road. As far as whether you want focus groups or listening sessions, those are an upfront thing done ahead of time. So that's what we were having you decide on now. And so my understanding is we don't need to do input sessions or, any listening sessions or focus groups.
Correct.
Okay. Was that clear as mud? I feel like I'm getting a little, so I wanna make sure you're all under, do you have questions?
I have one question.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily about the extra meetings, I don't know that we necessarily need those, especially with the Q&A session being available. And then the survey, I think that's gonna cover the vast majority of people who are truly interested are going to make sure that they're a part of that and that their voices are heard. With the Q&A session, is that something that as board members we should attend, or do we not have anything to do with that and just wait for results after?
I'm really glad you asked that. So typically we recommend board members not go on to the live session because it's a Zoom session, so everybody can see who's in it. Usually the live session doesn't have a great attendance. A lot of people watch it back. So before we started doing the search preview meetings, most of the people who would attend would be like the district administration, right? Like the admin team, some of the teachers, staff was mostly who we would see. Because we started doing the search preview meetings, we don't have as many people come on live. We still have people send questions ahead of time, and then they just watch the recording back, so they don't have to spend the full live time, right? And they listen for those questions. Because we do record it so that you can put it on your website. Eric will be sending a document to the staff to put information on the website about the survey, about submitting questions for the Q&A, and then also about the link for the Q&A session itself. So, yeah, it's not like a huge attendance, but we typically say not to have board members because when there's not a lot of people, then you'll have, if somebody has a question, they're less likely to ask it if there's a board member. But then once it gets posted on your website, we do recommend that you guys all watch it so that you've seen what everybody's being told, right? So that you're all on the same page as well. But yeah.
Is that something that can be advertised in the newspaper? As long as it gets in there before?
Because when is that, the 30th, 20th you're doing that?
I think I have it the 30th.
I'd probably have to get it to the newspaper tomorrow or Monday morning at the latest. Because our paper deadline's Monday at noon, I believe.
Okay.
And then they print Wednesday. It's available publicly Wednesday.
Yeah, I
Thursday.
would recommend that if you can meet the timelines, that'll help. Also, in both of my districts, I used it's only internal, of course, but I used our student notification system. I don't know what you guys use, but if you can send it out to parents.
Yeah, digitally it will be very easy to get out, but not everyone in our community.
Right, is a part of that. So
Yeah.
the paper will help draw in.
Does she have a community page?
Will you guys have that ready? Is tomorrow probably pushing it, I'm guessing?
I think we can. So I'll send, Shelby will get that ready and she sends that notification, she'll send that email out.
To me?
To whoever our in-district contact person is gonna be, which we haven't gotten to yet. So as soon as we have that, to that person.
Sounds like Brian.
So yes, there's a good chance you'll get that tomorrow, but
Okay.
you said otherwise Monday.
Bonnie, do you remember if they're dead? It used to be Friday, but I think they moved it to Monday. So if I get it to them by noon on Monday, it should be in next week's paper.
Okay. We'll connect on our
Even if you
next
got
hour
it
and a
to
half
me.
ride. And
I don't know if you guys send stuff over the weekend, but even if we'll get it.
All right.
okay, I put paper deadline Monday.
Will that include like the actual Zoom link that's on there? So
Yeah.
we could make a QR code to include with it when you're putting it out or in the paper or something?
Yeah, it'll have the
Use a
links.
website for QR code creator.
Okay.
You plop the website in, it makes you a QR code. See? I figured these things out, guys.
Maybe the paper will do
It is so slick.
It is so handy.
It will have the links, but the links won't necessarily be live yet. They'll be live by Monday. But because she still has to set up the full survey online, and so the survey won't actually be live, but it'll be the right link so that they
But
can
it'll be
use it.
live by the time it was.
It'll
in
be
the
live by
paper.
the time it'd be
Yeah.
the paper, yeah.
And
I'm sure it'll be
digitally
live
I'll-
by Monday.
Yeah, and digitally I can put it out Monday or whenever. but-
Yeah.
QR codes
If
are gonna
you
get
pick
younger
me.
populations. to respond. So if you have that ability, I think that
We'll
does
figure it
help.
out. I got text there.
And so is this something we can and should advertise like at athletic events we have here and book bingo?
Oh,
and
yes. I mean, I
all the things?
encourage it, like I said, in the, like Jamie said, the QR code works great, so people can pull it up. They've got it. It may not do it at the game, but they've got it and they're good to go. Yes, advertise. The more responses you get, the better you feel about, the feel for what you're getting from them. So yes,
Okay,
pump it.
thank you.
You can almost put it on like your programs at basketball games for a while.
Yeah.
QR code.
I can help you QR codes if you want.
So another piece just to ask, you good? Just want to make sure you do or don't. Any national advertising, that should be another handout in your brochure or packet. Couple of things. The system that MSBA uses, your posting, when it posts, will actually be national. It goes to a site that anybody who's looking to be a superintendent looks on that site. So technically, you are posting nationally. It's not just in Minnesota. But you can pay an additional fee if you're interested in going. It's just more sites that it would be posted on. Something for you to consider. Do we need to know that tonight?
Yeah, if you wanna post any on the national sites, we need to know yes and which ones. We don't mark them up, this is what it costs us to post on them. It's totally up to you guys. Typically, we don't see a great large return on investment in that, so if you wanted my opinion, I would say you probably don't need to. But if you have a certain population or a certain anything, then you might wanna consider that. So, that's up to you. It's the page that looks like this, in case you're trying to follow along still.
And pretty typical. So you're okay there, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And then background checks. So it's important to note, first of all, as far as folks being a citizen in the United States, that end falls on you guys in your HR department following through with just like you would any hire, okay? But as part of being with MSBA, we will do the vetting prior to interviews as far as making sure that candidates' credentials, what they're telling us is what they actually do. All of the candidates that we recommend on that list will be vetted. So if you're interested in an additional criminal background check, we can do that. But again, this is totally at cost. MSBA makes nothing on this, but you can do that at an additional fee of $395. And I guess in this area, and Amy can correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes, I don't know if you get your bang for your buck, but maybe you do it with your finalist if there's some reason you have any reason to doubt the prior vetting, but I just...
You can wait to decide to. The background checks you don't need to decide tonight. You can wait until who you decide you're hiring, right? Sometimes you have somebody who's kind of a known commodity from the area and you feel comfortable and confident and you don't need to worry about doing the extra background check. And to clarify, you have to finish the complete hiring process following all state and national laws, meaning state and federal laws. And so meaning you'll be doing a background check anyways. You automatically have to do a background check on every employee of the district. This is above and beyond that. This is a more in-depth one. The standard like BCA background check is usually, I wanna say under $50. That's what you probably typically do. That's what you're required to do. You also have to do the I-9 authorization that he mentioned. You're required to do all of that by law and you still need to complete all of those processes. We as a search firm are not legally able to check I-9 authorization, only the hiring authority is. So we can't do that. We can do these additional background checks for you if you want. It includes a whole list of additional databases that it checks. There's a whole list of like national criminal, global watch list. They will also do a social media background check as well. And then they flag posts that are, they just say they're flags. Not saying that they're necessarily good or bad, but they just want you to be aware of them. So for example, any post that they might have that shows violence, anything that might show a weapon, anything that might show something political. And then it gives you an exact, like it actually shows you the post that flagged that so that you can determine yourselves if that's appropriate or not and if you're okay with it or not. So for example, typically superintendent candidates are not gonna post something that's really violent, right? Some of the flagged things that we've seen have been, we had one superintendent who had flagged posts and it was her son at a wrestling match, right? So it was flagged as violence. A lot of times you'll have superintendents who like to hunt. So there's a picture of them with a gun and so it flags it as a weapon, right? And so most of the time you're not gonna get a lot in that. Sometimes you'll find some political posts that you wouldn't expect to see from a candidate, right? So that would be one thing, one area where it might be helpful. We have a sample that we'll just pass around and you guys can just look at it and see what it looks like. If you're interested in doing it, great. You don't have to decide tonight. You can wait until the end and see if you want to do that extra one on your final candidate.
And you wouldn't have that on just your finalist, correct? Because maybe it would disqualify the guy if you say you're gonna hire and you want to grab the other 3, 4. I mean, so would you want to do that on the final 2 or 3 or 4 or something?
We do have districts that will do it on anybody they're interviewing. They say as soon as we select them to interview, run background checks because we want to see all of it. And so then that might, yes. Typically the motion that you're gonna make when you decide who you want to hire, in the motion it says contingent on passing a background check that is acceptable to the school board. So then if you get something back after you've determined that, and if it's then something that you have decided is not acceptable, you can then break with that candidate. However, then you would need to you can decide at that time, do you want to go back to maybe who was your second runner-up or your third runner-up, or do you want to reopen the whole search? So you'd have choices at that point in time. Typically, your background check is just going to confirm what you already know or hope, right? But just in case something were to arise, yeah, it would be up to you if you wanted to do it on your finalists, if you wanted to after round 1. So you wouldn't be able to do it after round 1 when you've narrowed it down and get them back before round 2, because they take about a week to come in, and you guys are doing round 1 on the 30th and 31st and round 2 on the 2nd. So you wouldn't have time to just do the round 2 finalists. You'd either want to do all of them that you're going to interview, that you select on the 17th, you'd have it back in time for interviews. Or you could just wait for that lone finalist, have it, you know, as a due diligence thing. We checked all of these different watch lists and crime lists and all of that. You can do that if you want to. But again, I would say most of our outstate districts choose to wait, and if they do it on the last finalist once they kind of know who it is. Once they know who they're going to hire, then you can kind of say, we don't know a lot about them, we've learned a lot about them, but they're not like a known commodity, right? They maybe haven't been in Minnesota for more than a year or whatever, and so you might want to do that background check with that. But it's up to you guys, whatever you're most comfortable with.
So we'll wait on that and like I said, see what,
Yeah.
in the end, a lot of it, Dave, will end up, who is that candidate? You know, if it's somebody local that is well-known, really, is it worth spending the money? But if it ends up being someone like Amy said, that's new and you feel good, but you just want to make 100% sure, why not? So we'll keep that as a question. Okay, so role of current superintendent. So Brian, what is Brian's role in this process going to be?
So typically, there is no role for the current superintendent, but it depends on if he's gonna be our point of contact or if we're gonna have somebody else who will be our point of contact. So a lot of times sometimes like when I was doing the search in Lake City, Eric was my point of contact. So even though he was the current sup, he was the person that I worked with throughout the entire search. I'm in the board chair most of the time. In a lot of districts, it's like the admin assistant or a business manager or a HR director or something along that. So we'll need to know who our regular point of contact is gonna be. Like every time we need to send an update to the website, who do we reach out to every time with that information? Board chair is always CC'd on it, but who do you want us to be sending that to? And if it's not Brian, then typically his role would be to basically be a cheerleader for the district, because potential candidates will be calling him and asking about the district and what's going on and asking about the board. Not always, but usually you'll have candidates reach out to the sitting superintendent. So I think depending on who our contact is will determine what Brian's role is gonna be through the rest of the search.
Do you have any feelings either way?
Fine, if that's what you want me to do, that'd be fine.
I would be okay with it being Brian. Nobody agrees with that.
Bring it.
Yeah, as long as you're good with that.
So I'm gonna kind of skip a couple and go down. So is Brian also going to be the in-district contact person? Okay. School board spokesperson. Usually this is the chair, but again, this is your guys' decision. Sometimes the communication, like I said, you're all welcome to contact me, but if somebody's gonna do something a little different, maximize, synergize your work, right? So you would have a point person. I mean, would that be you, Heather?
What? You're okay being point person?
Yeah, I'm okay with it if you guys are fine with it.
And to put your name on the press releases.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's part of that. That's part of that.
Surprise. Yeah, yes, that's fine.
All right, and then just want to cover a couple more do's and don'ts. You know, the biggest one I've already talked about is that data privacy. But listen to these, and like I said, it really helps you as a board member. As I'm transitioning from being a superintendent, remember last year I was a superintendent, I came back out of retirement and did an interim. I'm working for MSBA now. So I operate different as Eric Inger, the MSBA service provider, than I did as a superintendent. Colleagues that I have potentially could apply to Hinckley-Finlayson for the superintendent job, right? So just remember, you're the board members. We've got to protect ourselves as well. Doesn't mean they're still not my friends. It's just they got to understand my role, and folks need to understand your role. So turn down any candidates asking questions for board member reference or letters of recommendation. So I heard Brian say you've got a couple of folks with superintendent licensure. If we're going to have internal candidates, just keep that in mind. If one of them were to ask you for a letter or to be a reference, you wouldn't want to do that, because you kind of are giving them a leg up because you're board members. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And
what if they ask me as the sitting superintendent? Is that fine?
yes, that's pretty common. That's your call. Yep. And you won't be voting on them, so. Okay. If contacted by candidates, please direct them to MSBA instead. So if somebody reaches out to you, and again, it could be something general that, I guess I'd find it odd if they were to reach out directly to a board member. But if you feel it's a really minute question that they're asking, something simple, fine, but anything that starts to get into the actual process of hiring, just tell them Eric is our MSBA lead, and he'd be more than happy to answer that question for you. So just direct them for me. That's why you're using MSBA. Don't conduct deep social media investigations yourself. It's kind of like when we find out we've got something, right? And then you go on the web and you start researching it, and oh my gosh, do you panic, right? Doctor didn't say that, it's just what we read on the web. You probably could Google me and there's something out there weird, I don't know.
Oh, there it is. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's part of the vetting that we do, okay? So you don't need to worry about it. If someone brings that to your attention, feel free to share that with me. I'll be more than glad to make sure. We don't want to miss something either. So, but don't feel, or I would recommend to you, don't go out and do your own Google searches. That's part of what you have us for. And like I said, if you do hear something or someone shares something, I think that's in here, yeah. You will be lobbied by stakeholders. Listen, thank them, but don't debate. But also share that. If something comes up that you think is of value, pass it on. We definitely don't want to miss anything. And yes, as Amy said, we got great betters, but the more the merrier. So share anything that you hear or shared with you to me. Don't recruit candidates yourself. This one, just common sense, because you don't have a guarantee you're going to be able to hire them anyway. So if they're interested, they should come to your school district, based on your school district. You shouldn't have to recruit. MSBA doesn't recruit. That posting goes out, big time. I said nationally, but in the state of Minnesota, every superintendent is going to know that you have an opening. Don't worry about that. And for that matter, admin, anybody interested. So you don't need to recruit. They'll be aware of it, and they should come because they want to be here. You shouldn't have to recruit them. All right. So a couple of pages left.
We're getting there. We're getting there, you guys. Can you double check this one? Personnel.
Oh, yes. I remember the industry.
Yep.
The confidentiality employee, my understanding is some of us might need to be looking at some of this stuff as a hard copy, correct? Okay, and we can work through that. That's all right. We've had it in other districts. But what's important is we do need to know the person that's going to be a part of that process. So there are important steps that need to be followed because, again, remember, we're dealing with data privacy and practices. We don't want to have any violations in that area. Who would that person be? So when Leo comes, usually it would be the district office and he's going to look at something. Could be Brian, sometimes it's your HR, the person that does the employment type stuff, or I think in PEM we had my secretary at the district office.
Whoever normally handles personnel files is the best choice because.
Julie did it last time.
Okay.
Julie and Rob did it last time, just for reference.
And they would then be they would be responsible for keeping all of the application materials under lock and key. Leo would make an appointment with them to review the materials in the office, and making sure then that nothing leaves the office.
We all had to come in. There wasn't any electronic last time.
Yeah.
It
We
was
all had to
all-
go in and set.
You're gonna love it then.
So for those
And
who
it
are
was
comfortable,
Julie.
you'll have 24/7 online access because all of the application materials will be available to you to view online. So for anybody who doesn't want to view them online, you can make an appointment to go view them in the office as well, not just Leo. If anybody wants to view them in hard copy form. You're not allowed to copy them, you can't remove them from the office or anything, but you can review them there and take your notes there. We just need to know who that person would be that we would get set up to set those up.
I would say Julie.
And what's Julie's last name?
Nelson.
Do we want two, both Julie and Brian?
Julie and Brian.
In case one of us are gone.
We had two
Yeah,
last
I would be
time.
fine with that. So this might be a silly question, but so for the digital ones, like those are secure, right? So they couldn't be like forwarded on or printed or.
You will have a link, so that your applications are gonna close on the 8th. On the 9th, you're gonna get an email from Shelby Herrera and it'll tell you how to set up your account.
Okay.
And then the next day, you'll get another email from her that will have your alpha identifier list. So as Eric mentioned, you're gonna be talking about private data in an open meeting. So you'll have an alpha identifier list that'll have the names of the candidates, what their alphabet identifier is. So in that meeting, when you're choosing who you're gonna interview, you'll be referring to them as like candidate A, candidate B, and so on and so forth. And so you'll get that list, and then she'll be telling you that now you have access to online. When you have access to them, there isn't even an option for you to download the materials.
Perfect, okay.
So you shouldn't even be able to do that. If you can, let me know ASAP because something is set up wrong. So only the person who is that personnel confidentiality employee will be able to download the materials. And then there's a process for how they're filed and how they're marked and how they're kept. And so we just need to know who to work with for that process to make sure that it's all being done properly, so.
But again, you're still dealing with that data privacy, right? That we talked about earlier. So somebody asked, hey, so-and-so, no, they're in alphabet right now. So until that list of finalists, the folks that we select to interview, you really cannot tell or verify anybody's name in that pool. All right, so this one pager, does everybody got that?
Last page of the packet, you guys. Last page of the packet. We're almost there.
Not bad. So out of these, and there's quite a few, but we're just going to be selecting 2 questions. And what these will be is, these will be 2 questions that will be part of your application process. So as the candidates fill out the application and all the information, these 2 will help us in determining in the vetting process with their answers. A lot of it falls on their own credentials, but I will tell you, because I've had the opportunity, I'm shadowing Amy in another district where she's this and I'm that. And then I am also had the opportunity this morning to help vet another district. So I do, the folks that do the vetting, they pay attention to the answers that are in those questions, and some of them feel, wow, you know, that person hit that 100%, or that person had no clue what they were talking about on so there's a lot of questions there, but realize we're only going to pick 2, and what do we feel are our 2 that are most valuable for our district. We highlighted so that if you remember back to your leadership profile, it might help to look at that. But the highlighted words are really helping you to know that's the main function of that question. School finance, initiative, effectiveness of your leadership, evaluation and professional development, decision making and problem solving, academic and social emotional needs, equity and inclusion, competing priorities, cope with stress and resilience.
Are these questions you need now, or can we revisit these after we get community feedback?
So these are gonna go
They'd be
in
part of
your
the
application.
application.
So this is
Okay.
part of the application. So these will.
Okay, sorry. I didn't
Yep,
miss
no,
that part.
just 2 for
Sorry.
the application. So what will help you learn about the
Gotcha.
candidates to know
Okay.
whether or not you'd wanna interview them? And then and if there's something on here you really like, but you're like, that might be a better interview question, let us know and we'll bring that back as a proposed interview question too.
Based off of our score, I would think that number 5 would stand out, that's my personal opinion. Their qualifications.
Number 2 jumps out at me because it's collaboration, trust, and respect. I think that was the one that we had all 7 of us. So that was.
And also, you can wordsmith these. If they're not exactly what you want, we can tweak them. They don't have to be these exact questions. It's just to kind of get your juices flowing to have an idea of what you want to ask.
So on the application, they're gonna answer 2 questions and it'll give us some ideas just for the screening.
Yeah, there's another question on there too, that's something along the lines of, why do you think you're a good fit for this school district, or something like that, or tell us about yourself. There's one that's a general one that's on all applications, and then these are the 2 optional questions in addition.
Because we're gonna use it. Right.
Oh.
Have you ever had a question about like community involvement and being part, getting them basically to relocate here? Their willingness to be part of this community instead of traveling from another area here. I don't know how to word that. I don't
To
know.
live in our district, to have kids that go to our district, that they would be.
Do you wanna take that?
I think I'll defer to you. I know it's not legal.
Because you can.
There are,
You can't consider that. It's against the law for you to consider whether or not they'll live in the community or not as a
But a way
superintendent,
to-
so.
Word a question in the screening process.
I mean.
Good thing we asked.
Yeah, so in statute or in policy, I think it's a statute, a superintendent is like a teacher, in where you cannot, in statute, you cannot require them to live within the district in order to be employed in the district. So just like a teacher under that, and that's actually part of our interview training, we'll go over that, we'll show you the statute and all of that. So, there's a couple of things that, like, if visibility and approachability is high key for you, it's obviously, if a superintendent can live outside of the district and perform their duties, they can do that. So it's about making sure that that's a priority and that they know that's a priority. So you can ask a question about visibility and approachability, or like, how do you keep yourself visible and balancing that with, you know, your duties as a superintendent or something like that. Maintaining visibility in the community.
See, I knew there's a way you could twist it.
Yeah, but that doesn't require them to move here. There's no residency.
See, and that's, I didn't
requirement.
mean it that
Yes.
way, I just meant.
Yeah, you want them to be a part of the community,
Yes.
of course,
Oh,
yeah.
Every superintendent that I know has been part of our community, so I just.
There's almost always interview questions around visibility type of things, you know, so. But also, like, because I mean, like I said, you can't even consider it. So if you have a superintendent who comes into an interview and tells you all about them and says, I have 5 kids and I'm gonna move to the district and I'm gonna bring them to the district, they're gonna go to the schools here, that's great. You can't even write that down in your notes because you cannot consider that when determining whether you're gonna hire that person. Okay, it's just not legal for you to consider that. And so it's great information, but it's not part of it just can't be considered, so. Yeah.
Thanks.
And you can't hold them to that. The community will hear it, they will hold them to it, right? But you can't consider it, and they can say that, but it's not a requirement.
Can you put it in their contract that they're gonna get 130,000 and we'll give you 20,000 if you live in the district?
An incentive fee?
Is that legal?
I don't think you can do in the district, but I know you can do a, moving, but that isn't
Like a
gonna
moving
guarantee they're
stipend.
going to live in your district.
I
That is
have
legal.
seen an incentive like that. And I've had other districts ask me that, and I've checked with our legal counsel, and or our general counsel. That's a very slippery slope. Because also then,
Yep.
what if they were planning to move, and now they're getting a bonus for moving here, and the community gets a hold of that, and they're like, what? You had to pay them to move here? Like, we don't, and so it can backfire.
Yeah,
So it's a really slippery slope. I have seen them do it. If you would consider that, you need to check with your general counsel or your district council before you would put something like that in your contract. Local control. We would recommend not doing that, but.
Does anyone have any questions that they particularly like from the list? Okay.
Number 10.
Leo, any particular?
I had number 7, but
Treasurer wants a finance question?
yes.
But, on the
It
evaluation.
was an important thing.
It was, yeah,
Yeah.
that was number
Mhm.
6, I mean, that was 6 out of 10.
Yeah, so if we went based on that 7 of us for both the honesty and ethical with board, staff, students, parents, and community, and finances, so if we stuck with those kinds of questions, it would be
2 and 7.
And we can always
7.
ask the other questions in the interview process, so you're not necessarily ruling out doing the other questions.
Right.
Just Picking the 2 today.
Yep.
So do we stick with those and go with 2 and 7?
They're all great questions. I think 2 and 7, it gives you a little more diversity. The 2 and 5 were pretty close. You got ethics, and then trust, respect. Now you've hit two spots with the trust and respect, and then the finance. 2 and 7, I think, are great. And you're right, Judy. Interview questions can focus on.
This is a question probably for later, but just out of curiosity, so like when I'm looking at like 13, and it talks about the equity and inclusion, our population does have a larger Native American population. Are we able to tailor a question to that group, for knowledge and support of that specific group, being that we know that that's a important part of our community?
Yeah.
I just didn't know if
Yeah.
you could tailor that much, but I think that would be an important thing to consider.
Yep.
Yeah, and for the interview training, we'll talk about the public input survey report and then interview questions. We'll come with proposed interview questions. And again, they can
typically round one falls pretty heavily around the leadership profile and those things that you identified as the key things for the district, but also on anything that was designated by the community or staff. If there was anything in addition to what you guys had already had, there will be interview questions around that as well. But they can be, if there's other questions that you want to ask, if there's other topics or areas that you want covered, just let Eric know and we'll make sure that we include some of those options in there for you as well. So knowing that, we'll make sure that there's a few questions around that area as well. So for you to just consider. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, I think you guys did a wonderful job. I'm excited to keep moving forward. We got a lot done tonight, so, and like I said, don't hesitate to, and as Amy said, you know, CC her on it because it just saves me from, especially this first time around, everything that I do, because as I mentioned earlier, I represent MSBA, so I've got to make sure that I do it correctly. So I'm always checking with Amy this first time around because I want to make sure it's right, but feel free to contact me. Any questions? Brian?
So January 27th is Tuesday. So just so I have the heading for, you know, the first day of posting, we should have on our website as well a superintendent search page with the vacancy, with the time, you know, what we just talked about. Should we by that Tuesday also have the online survey information, things like that, or on the, I know MSBA will post it on MSBA. What should we do as the district besides get that on our website?
Have you started a landing page already?
I talked to our tech staff today and said that's coming.
Okay.
And we just model you
One
sent
of
some
those.
samples.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm wondering, as this goes live Tuesday, is there any thou shalt need to have absolutely on that landing page besides the vacancy, which has, of course, the timeline?
Right.
Like are we ready to have that survey, do you think, by Tuesday when we put the posting out?
Yes.
Okay.
So here's what this is gonna look like. So tonight, well, actually, I already did all of the updates to the timeline and the vacancy brochure while we were sitting here. Typically, what would happen, Eric would send us the email with what those updates are, and then he'll send you the final timeline and the final brochure from what we discussed tonight. He'll send that to you tomorrow morning, and he'll give you a deadline probably of like Sunday at 5 p.m., let's say. I'm just gonna write that down, Sunday at 5 p.m. That's your deadline to get him back any final changes. If you notice there's any other errors or any other edits that need to happen to that timeline or to the vacancy brochure, because if we don't hear from you by that time, we're going live with them on Tuesday.
Will that come to me and
You'll get
Julie to distribute to the 7 of them, or will you send that like you did this?
Yes, we'll send
Blind
it.
copy the board, send it to me?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll just keep, since you're one of you're a district contact.
Yep.
You'll be CC'd on almost all of the information, just not the things that have confidential stuff.
Yep.
So you'll just be CC'd on all of it, so you'll know. And then when we're sending direct communications to you, typically the board chair is CC'd on it,
Okay.
so that everybody's kind of in the loop. But we'll send you the communications form tomorrow.
Okay.
Shelby will send that to you. And that will have the links to the Q&A, the links to the Zoom session, or to the Q&A Zoom session, the way to submit questions ahead of time, and the survey.
But
So
those links won't, like I shouldn't put that.
they'll be
so-
live by Monday.
So I could post social media Monday.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be live by Monday, and you'll
Okay.
have the link so you can just test them, and
Okay.
if they're live, they're live. They
Okay.
might be live tomorrow.
Okay.
So, but they won't be official until the 27th, but if
27th.
anybody clicks on them and they're open, it'll be accepted, it'll work.
Okay.
Obviously the Zoom won't.
Yep.
But, they can submit questions, all of that you'll get that tomorrow, so that stuff will be ready to go. And it includes like how to get the word out, you know, some suggested whatever, and it gives you wording, so you can copy and paste, or you can edit it to fit your communication. Yep. And then once that deadline passes on Sunday at 5 p.m., then I send a let's post email to our internal staff. That would be typical with any search, whether he's the lead, I'm the lead, Barb's the lead. I do that. I send an internal post or an internal message to our
our staff who do the specific postings, who puts them up on what page and who sends out the email and all of that information. So I'll send that to them, that it's gonna go live on Tuesday. And in that also tells Eric to send the final documents to you. So then you'll know, yep, these are live and they're ready to post. So then you can get them added to the
And if we
website.
wanted to also, like MASA, I know has some, or other websites, should we just stick with MSBA or use those other?
We do post on MASA.
You do post on
We
MASA?
post on
okay.
on our website, we post on MASA, on EdPost,
Oh,
and then in
so we don't need
Rebellis.
to worry about all that,
Nope.
any of that?
Yep, nope,
Okay.
we've got all that.
Does this page, this estimated fee for service page go anywhere else than to just us? Cause I just noticed that the school name was wrong on that page, so if that was gonna be posted out anywhere?
Nope, it doesn't.
Okay.
Nope.
And that
Oh,
last-
yep, I see that.
Okay, but if it doesn't go out anywhere?
It doesn't go anywhere. Nope,
Perfect.
it's just for us to use this to show you the national posting options and the background check, so.
Okay,
But yeah, no, it doesn't get posted anywhere. Just the timeline, the vacancy brochure, and the survey
Okay.
itself will be posted. And then I'll send you you'll have all the information to get out. You can just copy and paste it into an email. You can do a posting. Some districts will have it where as soon as you go to a district website, they have a warning thing that comes up. A lot of schools use those for like when school closes, and it'll say, we wanna hear from you about the superintendent search, and then they click on there and they can get into take the survey, but whatever works for you guys is fine.
We'll have it up ready to go by Tuesday.
Yep, and so you'll have everything on Monday that you need for Tuesday to be live.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a long night, you guys.
I did want to say one thing. Remember I told you I'm available, right? 24/7, whatever you need. But one thing I want to point out, might drive some of you crazy. It did me, even as superintendent, when she said I was the contact. Don't ask me about applicants, numbers, people, anything like that. You're going to get that information when we have that meeting. But if you call me and ask, 2 weeks into or a week into the posting, how many applicants we got? I'm going to tell you, I can't tell you. Because that's MSB. We just, you're just gonna have to live with that, all right? So just realize, as far as the applicants and what's in the hopper and all that, that'll make that meeting more fun, but I can't tell you what's going on.
What, it bothered you when I wouldn't tell you?
Yeah. Just at least want a number, right? Like,
does anybody have any further questions for Eric or Amy while they're still here? Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys.
Great. All right, so we've reached the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Meeting adjourned at